Hi everybody, welcome to Power of Knowing Forums, Knowledge Nexus, tech that moves you, ideas that scale you, from cloud infrastructure to cybersecurity to growth strategies and leadership insights. Our four pillars have empowered professionals worldwide, and today the discussion of topic is the CSA of cyber security, how digital forensics unlock the truth behind data breaches, your go-to podcast on cybersecurity strategy growth. I am your host Prem Kumar, and we will explore how forensics and data breach are unlocked. Special welcome to all tuned into Power of Knowing Forums episode 271 on LinkedIn Live and other social media platforms. Thank you for being part of our journey and here to continue growth and success. And to have the topic to discuss, we have Lieutenant Colonel Santosh, an Army veteran, cybersecurity thought leader, DFIR community builder, CBO cybersecurity, and a digital forensic expert, TEDx speaker, joining us today. With Let's welcome our esteemed speaker onto the podcast event, drive into the topic. Sir, good evening. Welcome to our show, sir. How are you today, sir?
Good evening. Thanks, Dr. Prem, for inviting me. I'm as well as usual, Thanks for inviting me.
Okay. Sir, a small intro about yourself. We are having the pleasure of having an army veteran, and great to have people who serve the Indian Army here. And it's a pleasure having you here, sir. Thanks for all what you've been doing. Salutes to you. And a small intro about your journey as an army officer and the technology space from you, sir. Over to you, sir.
You have already introduced me, but since you have asked me to add something to it, so let me add in this way that I have had an illustrious career of around 23 years in the Indian Army in Corps of Signals, which is a technical corps looking after
Mhm.
telecommunications, cyber, radar, and anything related to technology and communications. So I've been there and I've been a part during my tenure there. I've been a part of Ministry of Electronics and IT, heading the forensics division there, and as well as when I was in the army, I was also heading the forensics division there. So
Okay.
my forensic career has been of around 23 years within the army and last 4 years outside in the corporates. So that's how around 27 years I've only been doing eating, sleeping, forensics and trying to investigate a lot of things. So I was lucky enough that I got opportunity to work on prestigious cases, and while in corporate also to work on real time live cases. So that has been my journey till now, and I also mentor a lot of professionals in this particular field and also try to build this community. Thanks for mentioning that, building community, because that's what is mostly important. A few years back, there was not even a single conference which was related to forensics. They were called cyber conferences. But
Yeah.
now, due to the community building and people coming up and skills being honed, so you see now there are separate forensic conference, and every conference has a forensics, you can say, leg in it. So that's what
Hmm.
we have been able to achieve in the last 2 decades.
Great, sir. Thank you for that brief introduction, sir. Let's dive into the topic and say, sir, forensics itself it's a critical element of cybersecurity if you really look at, right, sir? And why is digital forensic critical in identifying true scope of a breach, data breach, sir?
So it's like, the truth lies in the devil. Similarly, the truth behind every breach lies in the details, and forensics is the only rescue for that. So to start with, since is the first question, let me build up and give you some statistics. Although the statistics come out late, let me tell you about 2024. The first 6 months itself, if you see the global data breaches which happened, there were around more than 3,500 plus publicly disclosed breaches or incidents which happened. That is on an average 500 plus breaches per month, and around more than 6.5 billion records were exposed or available for sale in the market. So that is the you can say the gravity of the situation. And the top breaches which happened and which are still you can say top causes is of course the ransomware attacks which are happening. 40% of them were ransomware attacks, whether it was related to Lockbit or whether it was related to Black Hat. Third party vendor exploits, there was a second most, that is around 30%, if I'm not wrong. Then zero day vulnerabilities, insider threats, and even phishing. Phishing also was part, although smaller, maybe around 5%, but this also was one of the, you can say, main causes of the breaches. Secondly, healthcare was the most targeted sector and is the most targeted sector along with the government and the defense, and followed by finance and retail. So these are the various sectors which are being targeted. And after these conflicts which are going on presently worldwide, even now the sectors of targeting critical infrastructure is increasing. So every time, depending on the attack vector and depending on the situation, the sectors are changing regarding the breaches. Now, let me relate it to digital forensics or incident response, because when a breach happens, you are doing incident response, which is followed by digital forensics. So it's always DFIR which is referred to. Now, digital forensic plays a very crucial role in investigating the breaches. It actually systematically uncovers the evidence, identifies the attack vectors, and helps organizations to understand what happened during the incidents. And what happens is, you have to do a lot of activities. I'll not go into detail, but you have to do the incident identification, you have to collect the evidence, you have to preserve the evidence, you have to do the analysis, and then you have to, there are various techniques which are used in this. Again, not to go into detail, whether it's log analysis, network forensic, disk forensics, whether it's mobile forensics, and so on and so forth. Now, if you see how forensics reveals the truth is, the attribution part. It identifies whether the attack was external, internal, or accidental. Attack pathway, it maps the attackers. So that is, you get the insight to that. Then the impact, means what is the impact on the organization? What was accessed? What was exfiltrated? So that also you can come to know the root cause analysis, what we call. Then identify which vulnerability was actually used to get into that particular systems or the network architecture. And the most important is the time frame or the timeline analysis. When did it happen? Because most of the time breaches happen and people don't even know that a breach has happened, and it's happening for thing. So if you see what it offers is, you can provides evidence for legal proceedings, because everyone wants to now sue someone or take someone to the court, or after the investigation has taken places. And it's like a feedback mechanism for improving security controls, or it's a good mechanism. It also helps in quantifying the damages, because there's no mechanism to quantify a damage when a breach has taken place. There may be risk assessment and other things, but after a breach has taken place, then this is very much important for financial reporting and accounting also. So digital forensics actually transforms all these things into actionable intelligence, and actually it enables every organization to respond to breaches, learn from them, strengthen against the defenses. So this all is there. And what I feel means, to sum up the first question, is that you have to adopt to forensic mindset in such kind of breach scenario, and proactively integrate skill and go ahead. I know there'll be further questions, so I'll just leave it there. So by leveraging digital forensics, organization can minimize the breach impact and comply with regulations also, and strengthen. That is the resilience part. You have to, business is about resilience, right? So you have to come back to business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, detailed information there, because it's a new topic, as you rightly said. Forensics has never been discussed so detailedly, or it's catching up is what I understand. What is in for me as a CISO to prioritize investing in strong digital forensic teams? Because now cybersecurity and forensics are two elements, is what I'm understanding from your pointer there. Now, how do you build forensic team assets? So that's the point that I want to understand.
Okay, CISO is always under the hammer when a breach happens,
Yeah,
So he's the he's the guy to go and the Spock, I'll call him, for a breach to happen. Spock
yeah,
in the wrong sense, but yes, that is his responsibility also, and it's his duty also to look after the organization's the cybersecurity posture and ensure that no breach happens. So the faster the breach detection, the less the financial loss, and less the financial loss, the good job is the CISO's job. Then
yeah,
that's how he does a good job.
right.
As a CISO, the top priority is always of reducing risk and minimizing the breach impact, which I told in the first question, and improving the ROI, because ROI is everything. Business is all about ROI, right?
Hmm.
So faster breach detection is required, and organizations should have robust teams to identify breaches. Every organization or every sector cannot have a team to identify breaches or to do the activity which is required. So big teams or big companies do have their own IR teams or under the CISO who look after the incident response or forensics. But just let me give you example of a BFSI sector banks, public sector banks, or a cooperative bank. They don't have that wherewithal to do that. So again, when we speak about this question, CISO's role, it actually depends on what all resources are there at his disposal to carry out this activity, which is an important activity, right? So second is that reduce regulatory and legal exposure. Forensic evidence ensures compliance with various things. So again, that compliance part also comes into the fray, where you have to reduce the fines because everyone is watching you. So again, the CISO is under the hammer here also. So clear breach timelines also is required, because when he'll go to the court, law enforcement, you'll have to prove how it happened, what is the root cause analysis. And post-incident activity again is very important, because I mentioned about the root cause analysis, and I also mentioned about the actionable intelligence from on the basis of which you can actually improve the threat hunting and proactive defenses. In short, what is there when the person has to actually integrate forensics into a security incident management strategy. So the CISO is overall responsible for actually overlooking all these activities, not only building the team, having the resources, projecting, and also being very proactive in this sense. So this is very much important thing which is required. So as I said, faster the breach detection and less financial loss, the CISO would rather find out the breach in minutes. Means he's supposed to find out or know. He should be the first person should know what is happening. So strong forensic capability building depending on the scope, because every sector has a different attack vectors which or the type of incident happening on them. So this is very important. And building a team, yes, he has to have a good team. And the biggest mistake which most of the people make or CISOs make is they consider the IT team as the IR team or the this, which is a totally different team. A maker checker arrangement has to be there, which I always say. And also, what I want to say, the most of the CISOs, they have lot at their hands, means lot of things to do. And maybe so that's why this goes on the second stage. But nowadays, yes, people are considering it at the topmost priority, especially the CISOs. And I hope they must be doing a good job as of now.
Definitely, sir. Now, coming to one point, sir. Now, how does risk management or regulatory penalties after a breach help? Or how I will put it like this: how does digital forensics help mitigate? Because mitigate the risk and the regulatory penalties after a breach is done, because the penalties are very high, and now with DPDP and other things coming up, the penalties are going up to 250 crores as well. So how do we look at this pointers?
See, forensics is equal to the compliance shield as such. Forensics actually tells you the root cause analysis, it gives you the gaps, and then you can actually, find out what has happened. If you say, as you rightly GDPR is on the way or in the way, or it just reached our, it's at the doorstep, I'll call it. So it finds, as you rightly brought out, up to 4% of the global turnover of any company, right? The forensics actually provides the necessary documentation and evidence for compliance reporting. If you want a one-line answer for this question, and we have clear forensic reporting protocol for legal and compliance teams. So this is how forensics may will or help you in mitigating the risk in regulatory penalties after a breach. So if you are able to, if you are able to find out the root cause and tell, okay, if it is the intentional, non-intentional, even if a breach has taken place, and if the regulatory body or the system in place understand that it was not an intentional breach which took place, or all the compliances, all the measures were in place, and still the breach took place, then there's a different connotation to that. For example, there are laws for reporting, like 70-hour breach reporting is there. So, or if you say a preliminary report has to be given. So these all things fall into place, and indirectly every activity in the cyber domain a CISO does or a organization does actually it moves, or like a jigsaw puzzle. Everyone is dependent on everyone, gives the input to other. So even forensics is also part. It can help in reducing your risk and means abiding to the compliances which are there in the organization.
So with that, how do many organizations fail to capture critical evidences during a data breach? Because what we've seen is there are certain anomalies that come up and we don't detect at times, right? So I would not say it is a generic way, but that's how the data breach starts with, right? So your take on it, sir.
See, I've been handling breaches, especially breaches. Forensics we did when we were in the law enforcement, breaches when we were in the corporate, because this happened, and it's always mostly seen that either most of them are not aware of breaches, and why, if the reason, and because they are not aware, the it involves in destruction of evidence. In most of the cases, I've seen that the evidence is not maintained or retained or has been destroyed unintentionally. I'll put it intentionally. No one tries to do that. Yes, there are few cases of intentional destruction when there's something much more involved in that, and I can put it around to 50%. And if you see a data breach, actually it's a chaotic situation, but losing evidence actually turns the crisis into a catastrophe. Means it makes your life more horrible, terrible, whatever you call it. And
Mhm.
many organizations fail to preserve that forensics data, leaving them exposed. Then there's a legal liability, regulatory fines we just mentioned in the previous question, and incomplete understanding of how it happens, leaving the doors open again for the attacker. Now, the top reasons why the evidence is lost is because there's no real-time monitoring and logging. In fact, I'm working for the Middle East countries also, where we interact and all, and others also, Europe globally. They are so now positive or proactive on these breaches happening every time when I'm on a call, even in the Indian companies also. But I'm telling you, it's a global scenario now. Everyone wants everything in place, like a SOC in place, or they want their teams in place. If they don't have the capability, wherewithal, resources, finances, then they are going in a different model, like a retainer model. At least someone to assist them if something happens. But the top reasons why the evidence is lost, which is of more concern to me, is there is no real-time monitoring or logging happening. We always speak of forensic readiness. Forensic
Mm.
readiness is all about logging, all about having your evidence ready and prepared when the evidence happens. Critical system logs, memory dumps, network traffic and memory dumps, which you can consider as a volatile part, they get vanished unless until
Mm.
they're not logged properly. So they are the gold mines for us to actually carry out investigations. Example, 50% or more of the breaches involve evidence destruction, because again, unintentionally, I'll call it. I don't want to blame, because no one would like to destroy the evidence file. Second, and the most important, which I'm trying to promulgate to most of the IT companies, everyone for that matter, the this is the poor incident response readiness. See, people are not understanding the importance of incident response. They are not going to the right people. Incident response and the fallout, or you just mentioned about the skills or the teams. untrained teams actually are causing or creating more problems to the poor incident response. There's no legal, like for example, there's a chain of custody which needs to be maintained for evidence for admissibility in the court. So that also means is missing. This is just one point I am raising. And the overall resilience on automated tool, that is also a big issue. They say ki, okay, I have a tool employ put in my this, I have a SIEM or a SOAR or a ADR, so I don't require anything, I don't require manual thing, nothing bad, but there's no 100% security in that. You still require skills and experts. Otherwise, I would just tell you, I have seen your talks and all. Otherwise, it's a very simple that AI is going to take all the jobs. It's not the reality, right? Similarly, all the solutions cannot give you a total thing. So you require some external support to identify incidents, like threat hunting also you have to carry out. And so you should not totally depend on the technology or the different. Yes, they are good, there's no doubts, they are good as you have made them good. So that's there. And the even the legal and compliance, now legal aspect is being discussed, and it is coming in a very big way, even in India as such. So the GDPR, you just mentioned that. So what I feel is that you have to implement a proactive. I always speak when I speak about forensics. No, we have moved from reactive to proactive, and now to predictive kind of things. So you have to implement real-time loggings, train your IR teams, and predefine legal procedures. Evidence, when it's lost, no, its consequences are very high. So we should not make that mistakes. I know there's a cost to it, and cost is equally important or more important from the business point of view. But is it that important to your reputational loss? That you'll have to take a call. Means you have to have the forensic readiness is the thing. You have to keep it in mind in case of incidents, and a good IR team, a good, you can say, if not at least depending on a good third party IR team if required.
Sir, I think what you said is very important because what I understood or what we see normally is that security is always been a check mark, right? So I'm compliant. So this is where we stand and we are compliant. So I was talking to one of the CISOs, and what I found was uh, when the director of the organization came and asked, how secure are we? So the answer was, we are secure as on today, right? So, but we don't know about tomorrow. So the breaches are evolving. Also now, taking that as a cue. Now, how does integrating AI into digital forensic speed up threat analysis during a breach? Is there a possibility that we look at that angles?
See, AI is a problem also, and it's a solution also, right? So if you see AI is I'll just give a like a normal crime message, deepfakes or arrest and all. The AI is involved in that. So even malicious, you can say spear phishing and all. AI is involved in that. But AI is a solution also for forensics investigators. So it cuts most is the investigation time, and the, you can say, the credibility in the sense of identifying the right things within your whatever you have the pool of objects or the data which is in front of you. So actually it increases the time at least 50%, 50 approximately 50% of your time is saved. And if you see rapid data processing, you see in forensic there are two major problems: problem of plenty and problem of capacity. Means problem of plenty when there are too many devices or evidences to investigate, so it requires time. And problem of capacity is the size and storage of the, you can say, the devices is increasing. So that actually leads to the increasing the processing and reviewing time. We have to cut that processing and reviewing time. So in that case, AI transforms forensic analysis. I mean, if most of the tools now coming are AI enabled or AI powered for that matter. So rapid processing scale, that terabytes of logs are there, network traffic is there. There's no limit to that. Endpoint data is there. Manual reviewing will take a lot of time. So of course it is going to cut time. Then there are few, like even anomaly detection. If you want to do, there are some patterns which you don't know, you may not recognize, and so AI will help you. And how it will help in breach, if there is something like unmissed or hidden attack patterns, we'll able to find out if they are in case of a ransomware for that matter, whether there's a lateral movement, data exfiltration, and which may your naked eye or a human may miss. And 0 days, of course, people miss because even your systems in place, as I said, will not be able to identify a 0 day. And one important thing in forensics and IR is triaging. You know, what is your priority? There's so much evidence in front of you, so which is going to impact the more and which you have to hold the first. So triaging, that AI also helps you in triaging. Then also in predictive threat hunting, I mentioned about threat hunting, right, in my previous question. So finding out IOCs and anticipate other kinds of attacks which may happen. So AI is a solution. It cannot be neglected. It has to be embraced, and it has to be used more effectively. It means whatever solutions are coming in, there are a lot of companies. In fact, to be very truthful, no, I am interacting with a lot of IT companies, whether forensic, non-forensics, or whether everyone is shifting towards AI. Even in my company, also we are shifting towards AI in all sense in every department, whether it's accounts, whether it's administration, whether it's development, whether it's forensics. So you cannot, not only in forensics, you cannot actually do away with it, but you have to be careful. Careful is the right word, because as I said, it is a problem and a solution also. So you should go towards solution. Blindfolded, you cannot just accept it as it comes. And speeds, yes, speeds, you cannot match AI speeds, that's for sure. And there are a lot of playbooks which we make from AI, for this kind of a scenario. So AI, yes, we it has to be there, and I would recommend people who have not ventured into that, because I still know many startups and all, apart from the AI startups, they are still going in the traditional way. It's they have to able look at this aspect of it.
I think what you are saying is very true with technology going fast and the kind of anomalies that we are seeing. There are false positives which come up so many where we cannot sit and do a manual work. That's where I think AI can help us segregating false positives or even giving us a detailed role. So, what role does chain of custody play in digital forensics during breach investigation?
Thank you for asking me this question, because for so many years I'm trying to push this particular thing, that whatever you do is irrelevant if the court of law doesn't accept it.
Yeah.
So this is the only document which the court of law will accept it, other than the forensic report. Forensic report also will be seen later. If the chain of custody has flaws, your forensic report also doesn't stand in the court. I've been expert witness to so many courts while in the government, and it's seen that most of the cases fall flat because the chain of custody or has not been documented properly. And
Okay.
this is the legal document. I'm using the word the legal document, because if there's a flaw in this, everything goes for a six. The timeline analysis, because it actually, what is chain of custody? It actually has the full sequence of events from when the evidence was seized or the device was seized till the end, till the core, the case closure. So if the timelines and if the documentation is not right, or the, like, if you see, if I have seized your mobile. So I say I have
Mm.
seized Dr. Prem's mobile at so and so time. This is the make, model, and I have handed over to, say, I have handed to the forensic lab. The forensic lab takes over from me, and then he say, okay, I collected from Santosh. I have done the investigation. Now I handed over to the IO. IO says, okay, I've collected it, the evidence, and now it's in my custody, or I've handed it to XYZ. So, and if some activity has happened when the after it has been taken from Dr. Prem, if while it was with me, or it was with the forensic lab, or it was with the IO, then the case has gone flat because it is after the seizure has taken place. There are so many cases which has happened of this. So chain of custody is very, very, very important in this, in the whole process of taking the legal justice path as such. So in breach investigation, the evidence is strong as is the chain of custody, as simple as it. It preserves the legal admissibility, as I said. Courts demand it, and if it's tampered, your case doesn't. Actually, it's about accountability. If suppose while something happened and the device was with me, or evidence is tampered, then I become accountable for what has happened. I know so many cases in which the things happened when it was it was taken away from that particular, the owner of that particular asset. And it also supports regulatory compliance, boost invest credibility. It brings credibility to the investigation. So that's how it is. So everyone is required. Then, in the chain of custody, what is mentioned, which is the most important, is the hash value, the integrity of the device or the evidence which is collected. So it will never change. So it has the hash signatures, it has the time stamping, it has the ownership, how, where and how this particular evidence where or traveled. So bottom line, chain of custody. If there is no chain of custody, there is no case. It doesn't stand. It's better to wind up.
Okay, very rightful information. I think that makes it very important to have the document, which is very particularly looking at chain of custody, is what you are saying, sir. We've always spoken about the weak link part, right? Where why is human error often the weakest link in forensic investigations? Because even cybersecurity or in the threat modeling that we are talking about, human is considered as the weakest link, right? So does that hold even good for forensic as well?
Yes, it holds more relevant to forensics because humans have feelings. Feelings, when you're doing a case, if you're associated with a feeling, if you're associated with some thought process, or you're aligning either with the accused or with the victim, then actually the case, no, it changes the whole. So it's actually is heals for digital forensics. That's why the state of mind and everything matters. Everything matters. Even the most skilled investigators are human, and also fatigue also, as I said, it takes a lot of time in investigation. So,
Mm.
alignment, fatigue, bias, oversight can derail this particular breach investigations or any forensic investigation, leading to missing the actual miss the threads, or you can say the way you can approach. I have so many experiences in my life where the particular approach of a particular investigator has taken the case somewhere else. So that's why there are some corrections also which we do when we do a cases, that there's a team meeting where we decide, so that no one just does one lines of investigation or one lines of analysis. Now if you see how human error actually undermines forensics sometimes, mishandling evidence, accidentally deleting logs. Now who knows whether it's intentional or accidental? Now you just imagine. So that is the mishandling storage media. If you see, the success rate of forensic cases in India itself is very less. It's in single digits after the evidence has been produced. So what is the reason? Major factor is human error, or human, you can say, alignment, or human kind of thinking which is there. Then human also have blind spots, analysis blind spots. So misleading, you can say, attack patterns. I just mentioned about attack pattern. So confirmation bias, what we call, there are a lot of, nowadays Netflix series also going on confirmation bias. If you see that, I don't know, criminal lawyer, and other series also which has come, you can say Lincoln Lawyer also, English and Hindi,
Yeah.
yeah, even criminal lawyer, and also confirmation bias. So that is about forensics. And forensics, forensic everything is about James Bond kind of a thing, but it is not. And also the important, again, where the human comes to play, is key inconsistent documentation, like chain of custody we just talked about. So
Mm.
poor note taking, unstructured reporting, not the same format of reporting by different investigators. So that's why when we spoke about AI fills in fast a few of these gaps what the human error makes, and cross-checking or evidence collection or documentation part. So humans, till humans are there, there will be errors, and it's good there'll be errors. Why I'm saying good there'll be errors is that that's why the teamwork comes into play. The accountability also, accountability of the team, or the leader, or the, you can say, the head of the forensics comes into play. And but it has to be cross-checked. And now one very biggest, I can say, about concern which I feel nowadays is that depending on the tools, it's a
Mm.
biggest human error I feel. They just depend on the tool, what tool is giving me, and not knowing what it is, what it has done, or how it has functioned, or whether it has done the right way. And people, that's why when the analysts are taken, there has to be a experienced analyst of say 3 to 5 years. And whenever someone, a judge or court, calls as expert witness, they may ensure that he has at least 10 to 15 years of experience, so that he understands what he's speaking. He understands what is there, and that element of human error is reduced. I'll not say it totally goes, but it is reduced. So human error is there to stay, whether it's a forensic case or incident response. So that's why I'll come here now with this. That's why when we say it's an incident response team or a forensics team, so the team goes into the battlefield and actually conquers that particular type of a scenario which is in front of them.
Very important points, I think, sir. Now, there seems to be one thing that I want to understand from you is because we've seen false alarms in most of the cases, right? It is at times most of major thing is a false alarm, and that happens. But how do we differentiate between a legitimate breach and a false alarm using digital forensics? Is there a way, sir?
See, is there a where? But it's a very difficult question. Let me tell you very clearly.
Okay.
Right. Again, means I'll direct you to the latest episode on criminal lawyer, which is a very good thing of a false alarm and in digital forensics. So let me tell you that 75% of the alerts, it's a figure which I'm just taking. Majority, I'll put it, I'll correct myself. Majority are false positives, and forensic tools help to validate them and dismiss them. That's the only way you can go about this false thing, right? So you actually employ data correlation tools and expert analysis to filter that. It's a noise basically. So if you see validate or dismiss in seconds, that the only way you can do is by carrying out some investigation or analysis. In today's threat landscape, if you see the landscape of security teams, it's so wide and it's so complex as such. Data correlation and context, who will give you its forensics, right? For example, a single suspicious login might be an admin mistake. Someone just logged in. I logged in from somewhere else, or someone just used my name and logged in, and it's this. But paired with lateral movement, something has happened, that particular thing has compromised, and there's a lateral movement and exfiltration and ransomware attack has taken place, then it's a breach. Okay. Then timeline means we reconstruct timelines here. So chronological attack narrative, we build actually chronological narrative we build when we doing all this investigation. So legitimate threats, whether it's ransomware execution, credential stuffing, these are all legitimate threats. False alarms are mis confidence scan या किसी ने lock कर दिया और he was not able to enter. So they may fall into the false analysis. Then for that we actually do a lot of forensics, whether it's memory or disk forensics as such, and integration of that. This is a difficult question. Let me tell you whether to categorize into a legitimate and non-legitimate. Non-legitimate, there are few things. Yes, it is non-legitimate. I said ransomware attack is a non-legitimate. Credential stuff is a non-legitimate. Exfiltration is non-legitimate. Okay, but if you say accidental login or something, so you have to actually train yourself, and still you will have this particular one odd thing. So there has to be double check. There has to be a double check whether it's a legitimate or non-legitimate kind of a breach which has happened. And if it's legitimate, it's not a breach. You cannot call it a breach also. So, and suppose you're carrying out a exercise in your organization, and you don't tell them, but you're carrying out an exercise, and
Yeah.
someone breaches that, right? So it's a legitimate breach. Actually, if you see, it is not happened that way. But only it is to check that.
Yeah.
So that is my standpoint on this particular question, because it will always be in the gray area as such. It will be in the gray area.
Sir, what would be the immediate steps that has to be taken care when a breach is confirmed from a forensic standpoint, sir? How do we look at that point?
First is you stop the breach and preserve the evidence from forensic standpoint. I'm saying from the
Mhm.
business standpoint, first get back to business. That is the resilience part of it.
Okay.
But I, as a forensic expert, as a IR thing, I will do both, because, as I said, I'm a CB also and a CT also. So business also falls in my prerogative. But yes, evidence is very important to find out the root cause analysis. So that is very important. When a breach is confirmed, now breach is confirmed, you may come to know of the breach, weeks after that, or you may come to know. Preserving the evidence which it is admissible, or which can be produced to your team management or the court, that is very much important. That's why we do that particular strategy, is that you isolate it and contain it without destroying the evidence. You actually isolate the devices, then preserve the evidence immediately. You do the forensic. Forensic can be done later also. So
Hmm.
it's a mix, forensics first, then the business, then again the forensics. Like you go collect the evidence, but you need not do the analysis immediately. Try to get to the business, do a root cause analysis simultaneously, get the business online, and then do the detailed analysis. So that is how it is done. Then documentation also is very important. Triaging is very important, the initial part. If you see, that's why incident response is before incident response, business, and forensics. I'll put it in that sequence. Incident response, you're just doing the activity for incident response and trying to get the evidence collected, and you get back to business, kind of a thing. So documentation is requiring, triage is required. So to build a forensic specific you should have playbooks. That's why playbooks are very important. Tabletop exercises are very important. Having a capability in terms of tools, technology, and resources, skilled manpower is very important. Again, I said it will depend on the organization, the size of the organization, the sector of the organization, whether they can have this capability or not. So that is what I will say, that you should have a. The best way is why don't you have every quarterly have a exercise on, you can say, a tabletop exercise, or a
Hmm.
exercise which you can first find out how to respond to a breach if it happens.
Sir, now coming to that pointer, when we say tabletop exercises and some kind of drills is what you're talking about, right? So,
Yes.
how can we get what is the motive behind an attack? How can digital forensic help uncover the true motives behind a attack? Is there a possibility that way we can look at?
Yes, 100% there's a positive. And digital forensics is the only way you can find out the motive behind the attack, or the root cause analysis. As I said, that's why evidence preservation is very much required. So attack aren't random. They are gold. I mean, they have a goal. When I attack, goal-driven attacks are there. If you are a finance sector, there's an intent for attacking you. Either by able to get some money, financial gains. If it's a pharmaceutical company, or some, say, defense company, there's a goal that I want the IP of that company. What's going on? How I can do it? So Digital Forensics Act is a cyber detective uncovering whether the hackers wanted money, secrets, only wanted to create a chaos, like the conflict which happened. People wanted to just create a chaos by disrupting the availability part of it. So the key ways of forensic means, forensic exposes all this thing. Attack vectors, you come to know if a ransomware attack happened, which is the type of ransomware, which group was involved, what was the ingress point, how did the lateral movement take place, who was compromised, what was the vulnerability used, if there's a defacement, then which activist group was involved in the defacement, and the patterns. So the digital forensic, I mean, this activity is the only way you can get into the root cause, and it must be done. It must be done. You can do some kind of fingerprinting of a malware. There's a particular malware which is attacking. So sophisticated. If it's a targeted attack, if it's a nation state attack, so this all you have to map. To map a attacker behavior with forensic tool. Forensics is the way. Otherwise, there's no other way. You just let me know if there's any other way where you can find out how this happened. And as I said in the start, it's a feedback mechanism to do the corrective measures in that. So the motive can be only find out with the proper investigation and analysis of the tool, by using right kind of forensics.
Now we spoke about some time back on a network traffic part, right? So why is a deep network traffic analysis essential during post-breach forensics?
Yes, again, it's a question, good question asked, because when forensics is spoken, most of the people ask me about this forensics, mobile forensics, this, that, but network is always not asked, or I'll not say neglected, but it's always on the last priority. So they feel that the SOC is taking care of it. If I have a SOC, it's taking care of it. But as I said, the gold mine is in two places for me. One is the memory dump and one is the network traffic. For me,
Okay.
these are the gold mines, because from there I come to know what hell has been compromised, what is the which endpoints have been compromised, what is the exfiltration path, how the lateral movement has taken place. So network traffic analysis, actually it gives you the you can say the reveals the whole breach story. I'll call it that way. It is a storyteller. Network traffic analysis is a storyteller, because they may wipe up your evidence from your device, but the network traffic still will have that evidence that something has happened. So it's a silent witness to your investigation. So when attackers attack, no, they leave digital footprints. That's how we work on. The footprints are on endpoints, not alone. So network traffic also plays, and especially I'll tell you where that with the scenario training is changing to IoT, SCADA, IIoT coming in. So nothing is on the endpoint. Everything is in the network or in the cloud,
Hmm.
right? So everything is happening through network. So it actually it becomes a center of gravity for investigations. So it's a non-negotiable thing nowadays in forensics, because as I said, I just gave an example of IoT. So you can't either you get access of the cloud or the network. So it uncovers hidden compromises. It helps you to map pathways, whether it's an initial intrusion vector or lateral movement or exfiltration if it has taken place. So it actually gives you a lot of the network logs, whether it's NetFlow or PCAP or any kinds of logs. The timestamps which are there, they become critical. You just mentioned ki how will you take it to the court. So I have to give the timeline analysis. So from network log, I can even do the timeline analysis. And I when I spoke of proactive and predictive kind of forensics and such, network is a place where I can do this kind of thing. If something alert flags me which is of concern, then where do I get it? It's a network. So you have to but let me also tell you this, that you have to correlate network endpoint forensics, and because they are not in silos, you have to again correlate them, and then they'll give you the overall picture about how the you can say things have happened. So network, yes, is very important, but you have to put the as a picture in place, or endpoints also, the BYOD devices, the IoT devices, the cloud, and network has to be there. So in short, endpoints tell you what was hit, but network forensics tell you how, when, and where to look.
Sir, now coming to the other part, you were talking about detecting advanced threats, right? So, kind of pointers. What are the biggest challenges faced by digital forensic teams in deleting advanced persistent threats or
In
APTs?
See, APT is a different ball game. It happens at a different level, at the nation state level, at the country level, and uh,
Okay.
detecting APT is again it's very difficult, and there are more failures than successes that happen there. In
Oh.
forensics, anyway, there are more failures also, but when it comes to APT detection and all, it becomes a much tougher game, and it's a nightmare. I'll put a nightmare for anyone. So again, here you can say a collaborative effort is required by everyone, not only by the forensics, individual as such. So APT don't just they're not used to penetrate system. They disappear also. Means they are very when they are when it itself says advanced persistent threats, right? So they're evading all detection mechanisms, and they are in your system lying there. So the APTs lie dormant, and unless until someone has already identified the APT, maybe it is a like a clean thing for you. So they lie dormant before detection. And if I'm not wrong, I read somewhere, means although we have dealt with APTs when in the law enforcement, in the
Mhm.
corporate, only when the government body has told that this APT has compromised this particular sector or this particular entity, then it comes into light. But the APTs, logs are there for APTs. The you can say the memory are there, but some APTs even clear that particular memories. And basically, when we speak of APTs in in a defense strategy or in our terms what we call it living off the land tactics. It means
Mm.
they use attackers use abuse everything whatever is there, and you even don't know. Example is solar winds. This is the biggest
Yeah,
thing you can give code to anyone. So it mimic normal admin activity. Come on. So that was how SolarWind works, and the impact which it had, it was this. Then it doesn't stop here. If it is about encryption, now people have even exfiltrated encrypted data, expecting that when quantum computing comes, they will be able to decrypt that data. So it's just preserving, like it's archiving all the breaches which are happening, assuming that, and maybe it will happen. By the way, it's not nothing to
yeah, absolutely.
think it will not happen. It is going to happen.
Yeah,
Then they give a lot of false flag also, means spoof the IP, they spoof your own IP. So APT is all about it's a different ball game in itself. So how to uncover it? You should have some playbooks, behavioral analytics of the IOCs, memory. Memory is there. Endpoint forensics is no doesn't play any role. It's only the memory forensics or deep dive into your network or into your cloud things kind of a thing. So you should actually, if it is hide in plain sight, that's how it is said. So so you have to be very careful. As that's why where you should have one more layer over the, you can say the devices or solutions you have in place. You have a human layer there, where human layer actually works more thing. And threat hunting plays a very important role. So you should also employ threat hunting as one of the activities while you carry out your cybersecurity posture, when you are looking at least once a year, or if not once, I'll recommend once a quarter, not once a year, because you don't wait for a year or such. So APT is it's a tough call for forensics also, and we should accept it. But once revealed, I'll tell you one thing. In one of the APTs groups, means well-known APT groups, when I was doing digital forensic, I found the payload of that particular APT groups while I was doing a forensics on a in a deleted Slack. Slack is a deleted space or deleted contents for it.
okay.
And from that, we were able to identify because we found that trace of a payload. From that, we were able to identify that this APT was already had infected number of hundreds of devices, and it was still dormant there.
Okay.
Although it was the older one, right?
Yeah, but still it was there in the network, is
Yeah,
what
it
you're
was there
saying.
in the network. Yes.
Sir, now when we confirm uh, a breach is happened, how does the team identify or prioritize which data is to be investigated first after a breach? Any indications like that, sir? If we can get something on that.
So when a breach happens, it depends on the type of a breach which has happened, right?
Okay.
Now the breach may be something that the breach has already happened and the data is lying in the dark web. A breach is something when someone has just informed you, like a certain or some body like I4C has informed you that a breach has happened. Please look into it. So there were different stages of when a breach has happened. So the time you come to know, it doesn't depend on the stage it is already in. So sometimes if it's a DDoS attack happening or an exfiltration happening and you caught it red-handed, then it's that live case scenario where you are actually finding that breach. So answer is that whenever breach hits, you have to actually prioritize things. For example, evidence collection, I will prioritize the first as I mentioned, because I want the evidence to know, and the lateral movement stopping from spreading. So that IR stages, isolation and containment and all which I just mentioned, so they form a very important aspect in that particular case. Now, for forensic, prioritization, what we call, or IR prioritization, critical system exposure. First, they are going to target, say, my the system which are in my DMZ, the domain controller, databases, cloud console. So I will try to protect them first and see if they are not infected, and segregate them and for the main work as such. Like most of the cases, what is compromised is the active directory server, because with there you can create users, and from there you can push policies and get a lot of things. So that is the second thing, which is the sensitivity of the data. If it's with regulated data, public data, whether it's PII, so this all is there. And next thing, prioritization for forensics is the attack behavior. If I just mentioned about exfiltration taking place, whether dormant persistence is there or failed attempt is there. So that is very important. And from that, you tools like EDR, data traffic analysis, they always give you. And the most important, which I can mention, start is the volatility part, which data is going to not be available for me after some time, whether it's RAM or network traffic or something which is there. So I will try to first catch that, will be my priority in parallel. So that's why when a team, most of people are working on different activities. One is working on collecting evidence, one is looking on the architecture, what is infected. So that's why there are different, you can say, roles which are played in a IR team. What is there? Then then we also have the crisis management plan in place. What is critical, what is high for me, and on that basis we react. So every
Mm.
organization should have a crisis management plan in place, so they act as per the priority, what is more important for me and how do I do it. So like logs, they are low priority because they want to be there, they are not going to go anywhere, I can investigate them later also. But the network traffic memory is my high priority. So triaging is very important, and having means you should apply your mind depending on the type of incident or the breach which has happened. So that's what I have for this question.
Sir, why is it important to have post breach forensics even if we have already contained the incident? Is there
I think I may have answered the question, but to keep it in short, your post breach is required to do the root cause analysis. You say you had a question where you asked me, can we find out who did it, how did it? So this is the
okay?
answer was to your the previous question is your answer to this question. So containing
Sure.
a breach is like putting out the fire, but it's like other. You have to know the root cause analysis, how it happened, who did it, what all things were impacted, what is the business impact, what is the financial impact. So all this is required. So that only takes place when it has to. Forensics is a game of patience, and so you have to do it in detail. Investigations has to be
I
detailed.
think cybersecurity itself is a patient. You need patience to look at everything when it's concerned to cybersecurity. I think, sir.
So they make you a patient also, by the way. No patience, not to take. You lose your sleep.
Yeah, yeah. Sir, as we are running short of time, also we have one final question. How do digital forensic investigations contribute to building resilience in cybersecurity frameworks? So that's the final question that I wanted to take with you. I'll summarize post your answer, sir. What we discussed.
See, I think this is the I think good question to sum up with, because resilience is everything. If you are not
Yeah,
back to business, then no use of having the infrastructure, doing the
right.
investigation, doing the root cause analysis. So to build resilience, data-driven forensic insights are very much required. And forensic reveal the system vulnerabilities, insider threats, or any policy gaps which are there. You have to use these findings to reinforce. As I said, it's a feedback mechanism. And
Mhm.
you see what happens is that it exposes vulnerabilities, as I said. So
Okay.
most of the error, like we spoke about human error, and second thing is misconfigurations, unpatched system. They are the second in line after humans errors, or in fact human make these errors. These also considered as human errors. So a deep
Yeah.
forensic dive might uncover the default things happening, then also uncover insider threats and policy gaps. One thing which I would like to, through your interaction, I would like to tell people are very less concentrating on the insider threats, and which is a very big issue. People shift companies or shift organizations within drop of a hat. So
Mhm.
that also is the insider threats. The IP threats happen there, IPR issues comes. So these all things are there. So resilience, if you see, turn every forensic report or forensic whatever activity carried out is a step towards resilience building or resilience building plan. I'll call it, and it actually gives you a pathway, and it also gives you a loopholes also. So if you at least should carry out, so if you should carry out other activities like audit or VAPT regularly, Now, if you see audit, it's low level forensics only. VAPT
Yeah,
also
absolutely.
indirectly you're doing that, but it's only it's not no breach has happened or nothing has happened. You're just carrying out an activity or a compliance part. Like audit also is like a you have to do it. You have there's nothing which you cannot do it. So forensics is you can say the cream of the pudding as such. Okay, so it is required and it helps in resilience, so that we should be doing that activities regularly if things happen. And it will surely help. It is a must to activity. I'll call it.
Sir, one question which I missed to ask is there a case study which you can tell? We are running short of time, but it is a very important thing where you talk about a national or an international forensic case study which you can give a small brief about. Sir, is there anything that we can have an idea or an example that you can help us?
Okay, so if you see, there are a lot of cases which have happened, right?
Hmm.
uh, if I'll say there are so many breaches happen. There are so many breaches. So let me remember a case which may help you. Uh, if you say colonial pipeline also breach which happened in the US, right? In which the whole you can say the fuel infrastructure or the eastern coast was impacted in terms of unavailability of fuel for a week, which had financial
Hmm.
losses also. But what forensics did is it was able to, and in ransom was paid also, by the way. In that case, forensics was able to recover that particular, you can say, the ransom money also. Understand? So this is how it is. It helps in investigation. Means forensics actually. The last question and the before that question which you asked me, it helps you in actually finding out how it happened, what it happened, and even recovery of financial, you can say, in the case of ransomware attacks, recovery also has happened. So there are many cases or which are there, but I'll not mention because of scarcity of time.
I get your point, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sir,
uh,
with this, I would like to summarize on few pointers what we discussed in the last 1 hour. I'll take it short. Uh, we spoke about digital forensics, identifying the true scope when a data breach is happening. That's the first point we started with. Then we looked at why CISOs need to prioritize investigation in a strong digital forensics team is what we spoke. Then we spoke about help in mitigation risk and compliance. That's the point that we spoke about, where we spoke about fines, how the global turnover is, and we spoke of some of the pointers where forensics equals to compliance shield even at a breach side. Yes, right. So that's what we spoke about. Then we spoke about organizations failing to capture critical evidence during a data breach. That's the main point that we've been discussing, because if you lose the data, then there is no point that we can look at having such investigation done, is what you've been telling. How does AI integrating AI into digital forensics speed up threat analysis during a breach is what any other point we spoke about. Then we spoke about the chain of custody. That's a very important point which you spoke about, where we said that's the only document which helps us to go into any law abiding places where we get some of the results coming in, or some of the investigations heard about. So that chain of custody is one thing that has to be there in any organization, is what we spoke about. And we spoke about human weak link, right? So human is a weak link there in almost all the sides of breaches that are happening, and how investigations help in finding forensics helps. That's the point that we spoke about. Then we spoke about difference between a false alarm and a legitimate breach is what we spoke about, where you said 75% of the alerts are false positive, right? So forensics tools help validate and demise them is what we said. We said tools only will not help. At times human intuition also is an important thing, where you can understand how it can look at, and the tool may not detect, but we may understand how it goes is what we spoke about. Then we spoke about one step to be taken when a data breach is confirmed, and how do we take, what do we look at, that's what we spoke about. One is preserve the evidence immediately, example imaging the server or something like that is what we spoke about. Logs, that's one point. How then we spoke about forensic will help uncovering how a true motive of a breach is done. That's also is one point that we spoke. And to the last point that we wanted to look at is how does forensic reveal a system vulnerability, insider threats, and policy gaps is the pointer that we closed with the pointer, and we said build resilience with data-driven forensic insights is what we take on overall discussion of 1 hour. 1 hour 4 minutes is what we've discussed so far. And with this, I think, sir, any final words that you would like to add and tell to the team, to the audience, and before we conclude, sir?
Uh, I would only like to say that breaches have to be taken seriously. You have to train your teams. You have to have the right people, doing the right job when a breach takes place. And firstly, it has to be reported, and at least the CISO or the concerned should know that a breach has happened in his organization. And s- the most important is that DFIR, that is digital forensics and incident response, which I promote or promulgate, is that has to be given equal importance as we give to the business side. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. With this, we would like to conclude, and I would like to tell the audience that we have streamed this onto YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. We hope you found this discussion valuable, and thank you for joining us. Our next episode is happening tomorrow, which is the 272nd episode. So let's looking forward to see you tomorrow, and good day. Bye for now, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Before last, one more word from my side. Thank you, Dr. Prem, for doing this activity for the community. Thank you very much.
Welcome, sir. Thank you.